Cathie Wood is selling Tesla for Ethereum. We'll break it all down for you. Let's just jump right in. I want to go over and look at what the week is holding out in terms of things that could happen. It's a big week for crypto holders. What we're going to see is unemployment data and non-farm payrolls data. This is going to come in, I think, soft. Obviously, we've already started to see indicators on that. We'll also see the CPI and the core CPI data coming out. This will be a very important one, and it's going to be one that I think people might be surprised with as well. We're also going to be looking for the Bank of Japan and a potential interest rate decision. If they actually hike rates, we could really start to see a little bit of market turmoil. Inflation cooling down, high unemployment. This means rate cut odds will go up. And that, of course, goes into next month, end of January, and how this plays out for Chair Powell. All of that brewing right now this week. So make sure and stay tuned for all of that good stuff. Other things that are hitting right now, Ethereum is the future of finance. Here's a big news from JP Morgan, who is, of course, launching its tokenized fund. This is a money market fund, I think $100 million going into this. So a pretty big deal for ETH in general. And it also starts this domino effect potentially in Wall Street that could be going this direction. So positive overall, I think, for crypto, especially for Ethereum. I want to take a look at the Tesla chart, because this is something that we have continued to see Tesla outperforming over the last few weeks. As you can kind of see that green move really from that low, which was around 385. That was on November the 14th. And here we are punching 475 as of December the 15th, a month later. So this was a good time for Cathie Wood to actually make a little bit of a move. Let me go over to a clip.
And in the latest round, we took some profits from Tesla, which is nearer to its high, and allocated them into, or some of those profits, into crypto, which just went through thanks to the flash crash on 10/10, and thanks to MSCI's press release saying that it was reconsidering including DATs in its indices. And that happened on the same day as the flash crash, but nobody noticed it. Those two dynamics hit crypto hard. We think we've seen the bottom because the news is out. JP Morgan posted the report about MSCI. Now everyone knows that. You'll see us trying to expose our clients to stable coins. We bought some Coinbase. We bought some Circle and Bitmine Immersion, and a little bit of Ether and Solana. One is very small, the Solana. Ether one is around 2% of the portfolio. So taking crypto all together, we're probably talking about a 12, 13% position. So let's see how this recovery tests the various technicals. And
that's pretty significant, I think, not only for ETH, but just in crypto in general, to hold, 12, 13%. If you look at the combined holdings of Tesla, that's kind of the proof of all the sells on the Tesla stock. And of course, this starts to move into a handful. This is going to reshuffle. So when you look at some of the holdings here, I'll just kind of scan down to the one that I think is most important, and that is Bitmine holding at 275 right there. And even if you look at some of the others, which would be maybe Meta and even Bitcoin, even those together don't equal the holdings of what's going on with Bitmine. So again, very forward on ETH holdings right now. Speaking of Tom Lee, I want to go over to his analysis on how crypto and AI are lining up together. Take a look.
Skepticism now around the AI trade, skepticism around Bitcoin. Are they, in fact, related, do you think?
Related, but not related.
Yeah.
I think the AI trade, it's been a juggernaut, and we know that the visibility for the next few years is really good. But now investors are just trying to figure out how much to discount, what's the appropriate price to put. And that could drive some profit taking because they've done so well this year. It's almost like they both have great visibility, but the price levels are just what's being uncertain.
I feel like what's common, though, with both of these stories, though, Tom, is investors questioning the growth, the trajectory of growth going forward for both of these stories.
Yeah. Well, in crypto, the best years are definitely ahead, because today there's only 4 million Bitcoin wallets with $10,000 in it. There's 900 million IRA and brokerage accounts globally that have $10,000. So that's 200 times larger market. I believe that AI stocks, especially stocks like NVIDIA, are going to actually re-rate higher. Because if Walmart and Costco trade at 37 to 45 times earnings because they're predictable, then NVIDIA shouldn't be 27 times. I also think the banks are really criminally undervalued right now, like a JP Morgan, because that's becoming a technology company.
All right, so after that, you can kind of have to look at the condition on where Bitcoin could be with a lot of the downside potential that plays into this Japanese moving in terms of a rate hike. Now, if we see Japan move to a rate hike, which will happen this week, if that occurs, then everybody is pointing at what we're seeing with Bitcoin. If you look at the charts further into this, you can kind of see here, this goes back into 2024. We saw a rate hike, negative 23, negative 30, negative 31. Which was in early this year. And then what will we see right now, which was where Bitcoin is kind of trading at around the 90K mark when this was put out. But right now, Bitcoin is trading right at 85.9 at time of recording. And this will be the big question, guys, as to whether or not we see a full 30% come off of that. Maybe it is going to only be 20%. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. All right, let's go over to really where the economic insecurity, is it real or is it not real? Take a look.
The average American doesn't talk about inflation. That's an economist word. The average American talks about affordability or cost. Can I afford the food, the fuel, the housing, the health care? But there's something that's even more important. Half of Americans now live, and I quote, paycheck to paycheck. And how they define that is different. But these are people who have trouble paying their bills on a monthly basis. When half of Americans are saying that, that tells me that this economic insecurity and anxiety is real. And my warning to both political parties, if you don't figure out a way to make healthcare costs more affordable, the public is going to punish you 1 year from today.
What does 26 look like?
Democrats narrowly take the House. There aren't that many seats that are up for play. Democrats have a 5-point lead right now, and that's enough to give them roughly a 5-seat majority in the House and the Senate. If they botch health care, the Senate could be up for grabs as well.
Interesting points there. And of course, you've got to look at Trump, which apparently still believes that affordability is completely neutralized. We're not dealing with anything from an inflation standpoint. And I agree with Lutz there in terms of affordability being the key factor here, because that's going to be the campaign focus for both Republicans and Democrats going into the midterms. U.S. labor market will be the other one. And of course, the labor market right now, if you zoom in on this one, total non-farm hiring rate fell on this percentage. So now we're seeing more. This is the lowest, more unemployment, lowest since 2020. And that was during a pandemic. So this is a pretty significant state of where jobs are getting worse as inflation continues to rise. That of people, of course, is called stagflation. This is the worst nightmare for the Fed going into it, but it can't let jobs get and spiral out of control. It's one of the biggest mandates that the Fed would have to deal with. And of course, that could mean where we would see continuous cuts on the Fed rate. Other things people are looking at, could we see a high on Bitcoin next year? Everybody's saying right now, about 66% of you are saying, yeah, we could see a 2026 mini bull run. Whether or not this will happen end of year or whether or not this will happen early, who knows? But the key here is that people are looking at digital assets to be able to beat this inflation move that we're dealing with right now. When will Bitcoin hit 150K? Polymarket says, let's go over and focus on that December 31 of next year. So really, people, about 32%, if you look at it, holding toward the end of the year. But if you kind of collapse that and go over into everything, we're talking about, what is that, almost 25% now, saying that it could happen before that. So a lot of factors play into this, as we just talked about, a lot of macro comparisons that we're going to be seeing over the next few months. And I think the Clarity Act is going to be a big factor going forward, just in crypto in general. Bitcoin, of course, I think will also benefit from that. If we do get a very clear Clarity Act that is pro-crypto coming out. What price will Ethereum hit in December? Right now, the number is coming in at 2,600. So this is, again, getting potential impact from what could be still the impetus of what's going on in Japan and more of the macro fears that we're dealing with right now at the end of the year. Let's go over to a couple of more points I want to hit on. And this, of course, is Ripple just announced their big approval, which is a conditional approval from the OCC. This is in reference to the charter for the National Trust Bank. Now, don't get crazy. This is not a retail bank. This is, think of it as a bank for institutions. But the thing that really will go into this, I think, what will happen when they get a master account, a fully approved master account. That much longer for that to actually happen. But Garlinghouse definitely moving in the right direction over there for Ripple. I want to thank our sponsor today, and that is Uphold, where you guys can earn crypto better. A lot of things happening with Uphold, staking rewards, so you can stake up to 20 different cryptocurrencies and get into the reward side of things. New tokens, early access, along with full transparency. This is one of the best platforms out there to make trades on when it comes to crypto. The other thing you guys should be doing is this right here. Get the card, the XRP rewards card, which comes in the form of an Uphold debit card. And the nice thing about this, guys, is you can do this without a credit check. Also get up to 6% back on all your purchases for the first 3 months. You can get up to 10% back with a direct deposit stacked in on this. So this is one of the best values out there when it comes to a debit card where you can get into your digital assets. Make sure and check out Uphold. Use the link down below. Let them know we sent you. And if you look at the amount of companies that were listed here, this is just a few of them, but this was Ripple, BitGo, Fidelity, Paxos in there. Circle was also approved on this list. I don't know why they weren't included in this one, but that is all moving to where we're going to see a lot of this going into blockchain integrations. And this will, of course, be good for crypto in general. But more importantly, it basically pulls in more institutional involvement around where banking could be in the very near future. So huge, huge win for sure. One last thing, just remember, if you guys didn't hear, Ripple and Solana, I should say XRP and Solana, now you've got the capacity to be able to go out into DeFi, not only on Solana, but also on Optimism, Base, along with others. This will start to chain things up because a lot of XRP holders have not necessarily had a way to earn any kind of yield or put their XRP to work. So this may change a little bit within some of those chains out there. Let me know. I know there's a lot of XRP holders that follow this show. Would you guys start to look for yields on some of these DeFi platforms? Would you stay with something like a Flare network where you can do it? It's a little different with what Solana is doing because they're doing it through a custody model. It is kind of interesting to see these strategies play out. Let me know how you would do that with your own XRP. Last thing, of course, if you guys are not part of our own Barron Market Edge, you should be. That is our own private group. Very easy to join. We always leave a link down below. Check it out. It's free. And of course, catch me out there on X. It's @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on The Paul Barron Show.